So our next speaker is John Bird. John's going to take you on a tour around the globe. John is the chairman of IdeaWorks, the #1 retail marketing and advertising agency in the country. John's been a regular presenter to these breakfasts over the last few years, and I know that all of you really enjoy his presentation. So would you please make welcome John Bird.
G'day. I'll be the token Aussie in the room today for the last 25 minutes. We all know things have changed. I mean, that's a big part of what we're talking about today. But it's only when you step back and look over time that you can see how radically the world has been reshaped. The global landscape has changed. Literally. This is Pudong, Shanghai in the 1990s. And this is 2013. Where once were rice paddies, are now high-rises and luxury shopping centres. The consumer landscape has changed. 20 years ago, we were waving lighters at concerts. Well, the boomers in the room were anyway. In 2013, we point our mobile devices and we film and we click and we share. And the brandscape has changed. According to our own proprietary brand asset valuator research, these were the top 20 leadership brands in 1993. In those days, we were shopping at Grace Brothers and David Jones primarily. We were munching our Arnott's biscuits. We were wearing our Reeboks to classes at the gym, and we were putting our Coon into Tupperware containers. Coon, what a concept. And this is the picture in May this year. Only 4 brands remain on the list from 1993. Coca-Cola, Disney, Vegemite and Cadbury. The rest are gone, and they're largely replaced by tech brands. Today we shop eBay on our iPhones or Samsung Galaxies and pay via PayPal, but still while snacking away on a Cadbury chocolate bar though. And we're happy to shop both premium and value ends of the market, but increasingly not in the middle. Now I promise this is the only chart. The rest of this presentation is retail porn, so put up with this one chart. Our brand asset valuator research surveyed 5,000 Australians on 1,396 brands in May. And this is a snapshot of how Australian women perceive retail brands. The vertical axis is brand strength. The horizontal axis is brand stature. The red dots are fashion brands and the purple are online brands. And where you want to be is top right, a strong, well-regarded brand. But the rising brands are top left, strong and gaining in awareness and esteem. And they're global and digital brands. They're brands like Zara, H&M, ASOS, and The Iconic, and they're redefining the market. And I think that's a really graphic representation of what retail is in Australia today. So how do you stand out? How do you shine in such a changing retail brandscape? Well, I spend many of my waking hours on a sort of discovery tour to answer just that question, because I think this is one of the most fascinating times to be in retail and retail marketing in history. And one of my primary sources of inspiration and information is always the annual Westfield World Retail Study Tour. So last May, Jack Hanrahan, 40 retail passionates, some in this room, and I went to 5 cities, Shanghai, LA, New York, London and Istanbul over a 2-week period. And along the way we heard more than 50 presentations from leading retailers and retail commentators and walked over 150 kilometres visiting stores. Because I think even in this digital age, there's no substitute for doing the hard yards in rubber-soled shoes. And along the way, I formed a view about the qualities that I think star retailers require in this new retail world. Beyond the basics, of course, like a solid supply chain, slick operations. And they are a strong concept and customer value proposition, David talked about that, a sense of connectedness, a high level of convenience, operating with a conscience, and an unsurpassed customer experience. And over the next 20 minutes, I'll expand upon each of those 5 points and I'll provide some examples, some of the retail porn that I've been talking about. So first, I think all of us in this room are really lucky to work in an ideas business. And the starting point for great retail is always a sharp concept and a sharp customer value proposition. Remember David and his pirate flag. What is a retail offer's reason for being in the first place? Why should I value you? When I stand outside your store, why should I consider you compared to another retailer? So I wanted to begin with a questionable retail concept because I think you can learn as much from lousy retail ideas as good ones. And this one is literally crap. It's called More Than Toilet, in Shanghai. It's a toilet-themed restaurant. You sit on toilets, there are urinals on the walls, there's poo-shaped cushions, poo-shaped merchandise if you want to take something away. And their theme line is more than toilet, delicious and happy. Yes, it's a sharp proposition, but I don't think McDonald's has got a hell of a lot to worry about. Bolt Barbers on Melrose Avenue in LA is equally sharp, but I think it's more relevant. It's an anti-stylist, anti-establishment barber for blokes, and it celebrates what people hate about him as much as what people like about him on social media. So those eagle eyes in the room would have seen the banner they put outside. That's a customer comment. Whoever answers the phone is usually a dick. I love that. A guy named Mohawk Matt came up with the idea for Bolt, and when he did so, he was so excited that he had the concept board tattooed on his back. And I think that redefines commitment to a retail concept. I love the brand language in Bolt too. It's not hairdressing, it's shearing. And one of his cuts is for the brave willing to go bald by choice, which is of course getting your head shaved. So moving from the ridiculous in more than toilet to the sublime, this is what I call the new Apple. It's Tesla. It's an all-electric US car maker, headquartered in Silicon Valley, of course. When I was in the US in May, its market capitalisation was $8 billion. Last week, it was $21.7 billion. Their CVP is that electric cars don't have to look or drive like nerdmobiles. They can actually be pretty and they actually drive fast too. And besides an innovative product, they have an innovative way of taking it to market. Their showrooms are not on major roads, but they're in shopping centres, in a lot of Westfield centres in the States actually. They have t-shirted salespeople. There's no negotiation on price. Price is fixed. You customise your car in the store and then they build it to order. All in retail environments that look and feel quite a bit like Apple stores. And they do $40 million out of 150 square metre space. I mean, this is a retail concept that is going off and it's one that you should really check out. And to test drive, they lease spaces in the car park, which is incredibly clever in itself. Perhaps the single most defining characteristic of star retailers may be that they have a sense of connectedness. And while digital's at the heart of that, it's more than that. It's about connecting globally, locally, digitally, physically, socially, and emotionally. And I'll go through each of those. First, connecting globally. Retail is increasingly a global marketplace. Largely because of maturing markets at home, retail brands have been expanding rapidly across the planet. And we're seeing that here, of course. Nowadays, the world really is one shop. And so we see Apple in Shanghai. We see Swedish fast fashion brand H&M everywhere and coming to these shores, of course. In New York, there's about an H&M on every street corner. We see Japanese fast fashion brand Uniqlo coming here, but also opening 1,000 stores in China. We see UK youth fashion retailer here and in LA. But now, interestingly, we're seeing the second wave of retailers. We're seeing the Chinese brands. We're seeing the Korean brands. This is Bozideng opening in London. They've got 12,000 stores in China. And I think it's great too that Aussie retailers are venturing beyond our shores too, like Lorna Jane, who's opened 22 stores in California. And of course, the internet has smashed borders and consumers are gleefully shopping the globe, don't we know that? I don't know what it's like in your office, but we see a constant parade of these kind of parcels, these ASOS parcels, into ours. But as much as brands need to connect globally, they also have to connect locally, like this furniture retail in LA, or US-based Whole Foods, who's opened an organic-based supermarket in London, emphasising local producers, local produce. And they also localise their design to the UK market. Note the teapot lights above the checkouts, which I think are a really cute part of that design. Digital, of course, is increasingly at the heart of connectedness, including incorporating digital in-store, like department store Bloomingdale's in Santa Monica with their Meality concept. This is like an airport body scanner. So you step in, it scans you, and then instantly prints out a customised catalogue with your exact size and a whole range of different denim brands. Really useful, really smart, allows you to shop both online and in the store in confidence. Virgin Media in London does it well, with a digital wall of independently scrollable touchscreens displaying the latest mobiles. So Steve before talked about the Adidas wall. This is the equivalent, and I think it's incredibly clever, and customers absolutely love it. And Selfridges, the famous UK premium department store, connects website and store via click and collect. And I do think this is going to be a click and collect Christmas for retailers right around the globe and in Australia too. But the most connected store in the world is Burberry on Regent Street in London. I mean, all of you guys in this room know that. Hopefully I'm going to tell you a few things you don't know about Burberry, because we were fortunate on the tour to have a guided tour of the store before it opened. It's in an 1820 box refurbished to its original brass and marble splendour. And at the same time, it's wired for the 21st century. And I think the concept behind this store is what makes it most interesting. Angela Ahrendts, the CEO, developed the store with the creative director of Burberry. She's now going to Apple. It'll be really interesting to see what happens there. And their concept was this. Most retailers start with a store and do their best to replicate it online. They said no. They said, we've got an amazing digital presence. How do we take that and bring it into the store? How do we make it feel as if you're walking into a website? So that's what they've tried to do. Screens and technology dominate the store. And in the middle is a £350,000 digital screen hooked up to the net so they can beam stuff in. They can have concerts in here also and beam stuff out as well. One of the previous iterations of the store was a cinema, and that screen is where the old cinema screen was. And as a bit of a nod to the past, not for public display, but a nod to the past, they've kept the old Wurlitzer organ behind the screen, which I think is really nice too. And this is how it looks. Then once an hour, the lights darken, you hear this percussive soundtrack, and you see the images of dancers on the screen. And a digital rain shower erupts. Why? Well, this is London, and it's infamous for its weather perhaps, but also Burberry's signature item is a trench coat, and that's part of the whole theatre of the store. It's a bit Vegas really in a way. Burberry also does a brilliant job of connecting product to digital content. We talk about blurring the lines between offline and online. These guys do it better than anywhere. Every item in store has a radio frequency identification tag, and when you bring it close to a mirror, this is what happens. The mirror switches to a digital display and it provides information and the backstory about that particular product. So if you're paying £1,000 for a trench coat, this gives you the substance to make you want to hand over your money. Again, customers love it, and they've trademarked that particular technology. Another thing I found interesting is that Burberry started out with this store with no cash desks at all. The salespeople had tablets like Apple. You know, you could check out in the tablet. They could show you an extended range of goods. But they actually discovered that not all customers liked that. Some actually liked the idea of going to a cash wrap. Maybe some of the boomers in the room too. Some like the whole theatre of having your product wrapped up and that part of the experience. And I think that's an important lesson, because we shouldn't be racing to put digital in for digital's sake. As this ad makes the point, not everyone is equally enthusiastic about technology.
Emma. Huh? Emma. Emma.
Every day it's getting on my nerves.
Emma.
Oh, I'm
Emma. Emma.
Nouveau le trèfle maxi-feuille, vraiment plus large.
I love that guy because that's me. Star retailers also need to connect physically. I think it's fascinating that not so long ago, I mean, David talked to this, the physical store was being proclaimed dead, and now suddenly physical's fashionable. And online retailers are racing to open bricks and mortar stores, and we all know once the online guys are doing it, well, it must be good. And they've found that customers quite like being able to touch and feel merchandise. They quite like being able to talk to salespeople. So there's a couple of examples. This is Warby Parker, the US online eyewear retailer, who've opened a beautiful store in Soho in New York, which is modelled on an old library. This is Bonobos, the US men's apparel retailer, and they've opened what they call guide shops. So you make an appointment, you go in, you get a style guide in store, you try on the clothes, but you can't actually take them away. You then have to order online in the store or when you leave, and then they deliver. And initially I thought that was a really, really dumb idea. I mean, don't you want to be able to take the product away? But it turns out they're doing more sales per square metre than Tiffany's in that particular environment, and they're rolling them out. I think what that does say is that you know, it challenges our ideas of what a retail space can be, and that's what we should be thinking. How can we flip things? Star retailers also need to connect socially and emotionally in all kinds of ways, beyond just social media. This is Italy in New York City. It's a 4,000 square metre shrine to Italian gastronomy with lots of great ways to enjoy Italian food and wine. And the moment you walk in, you hear Italian accents in this store. The place oozes authenticity and you're transported to Italy, and you can enjoy everything from great antipasto to an upmarket Italian meal, a matching glass of Italian wine with friends in the central marketplace. This is a place to meet, it's a place to eat, it's a place to share. And as the CEO of Italy said to us, food is the original social app. And again, I think that's a reminder that it's just not all about digital. Star retailers make it as easy as possible for customers, taking steps out of the shopping and purchase process to get close to friction-free retail. And of course, great retailers have known that for a long time. 100 years ago, Walgreens, the US drugstore, used that newfangled device at the time, the telephone, to make life easier for shoppers. Instead of going into the store, they could call. And Charles Walgreens Sr. used to try to keep them on the line for long enough that the delivery boy would come round and knock on the door with the product. And that must have seemed like absolute magic. That was the internet of its day. Magic today for Walgreens is a refill by scan prescription app where you scan the label of your empty pill bottle and they automatically place an order, which is super convenient. Convenience needs to constantly improve because our expectations of the physical store have been changed forever by the internet. I love that phrase, internet-shaped expectations. Today we expect a similar experience to online. We expect speed, we expect transparency of information, we expect abundance of product. As they say, iTunes is never out of stock, so why should your store be? Star retailers are responsible retailers, giving back as much as taking, operating with great values, not just offering great value. And I'll give you some examples here too. This is Tom's in Venice Beach in California, another one of those online retailers who are opening a physical store. And they started life in 2005 as an online shoe retailer with a one-for-one operating model. And that means you buy a pair of shoes, they give away a pair of shoes to a child in a third world country. And then they moved into eyewear and did the same. And I thought you'd be interested to see their store. Fabulous, authentic feel, lots of great stories. This is luxury you can feel good about. These are shoes that can lead to better health and education. Wouldn't you want to give them your money? They have a cafe out the back, and they do promotions, sure, like other retailers, but they don't give away cars, cash and holidays. They give away giving trips. In May, they took 50 of their customers to Africa on a trip to give away shoes. This is part of a movement. It's not just about buying stuff. And as Jamie said before, shopping is the new activism, and you can buy into this at a place like Tom's. This is Panera. They have 1,700 bakery cafes in the US, and they're now opening Panera Cares community cafes with the aim of restoring dignity to those less fortunate and in a way reinventing the idea of a soup kitchen for the modern era and making their brand accessible to everyone. So here you get the Panera experience, but you just pay what you can afford. And if you haven't even got a dime to your name, well, no problem. So you can spend half an hour wiping tables and get enough to buy something. And they also give away day-old product. Patagonia, just go back to that one. Jamie talked about that before. That's an adventure wear retailer that's always operated with a concern for the environment and a conscious approach to consumption. And they've just launched Patagonia Worn Wear. In fact, they did it with a full-page ad in the New York Times during Fashion Week. This is second-hand clothing, rebadged, and it's better than new, they say, because each piece has a story behind it. Which brings us to customer experience. And really, everything that I've talked about over the last 20 minutes contributes to a superior customer experience. But in this part, what I'm specifically talking about is store ambience and service. Because again, in this digital age, people are more important than ever. But they do need to be advisors, not processors. Customers are looking for great service, as this ad from US electronics chain Best Buy shows.
Hi, may I answer any questions?
What the heck's the difference between all these phones? Windows or Android? What's LTE? Is it contagious? Which one fits my face? Do you make commission?
No.
Which one has a touch screen?
Which one has a touchy-feely screen?
Is this considered touching? What's the cloud? Where is the cloud? Are we in the cloud now? How many megapixels does one person really need? What makes a smart TV so smart? Whoa, 3D. Whoa. What if I break it? Do you install? Do you deliver? Are these noise canceling? No, I mean, do you deliver? So what's the difference between an e-reader and a tablet? Between a tablet and this thing?
Which one is the most vibratiest?
Can this transfer all my pictures of puppies dressed up like hot dogs?
Sure.
Can I use a dongle with this? Does it make you uncomfortable when I use the word dongle? Can I connect it to my TV? Can I connect these to my phone so I look dope when I call my peeps? You wanna unbutton your shirt a little bit? Why am I so awesome? Hey, am I allowed in here? I'll go. Will this one read 50 Shades of Grey to me in a sexy voice?
No.
Will you?
Yes, so stores aren't going anywhere, staff aren't going anywhere, but in terms of customer experience, retail today needs to be inspiring, challenging, entertaining. Much more than transactional, because the web can do that. As Tim Greenhalgh from Fitch said to us on the tour, how can we build stores where we encourage people to dream? So here are a few examples. This is Renovation Hardware in LA. Despite the name, it's not a hardware store, it's an upscale furniture and homeware store. And it makes you feel as if you're going into someone's private residence. It's not like a store at all. Beautiful room settings, great lighting, and even the outdoor furniture is set in a private garden. A pop-up can be a great experience. US discount department store Target did a pop-up doll's house in the middle of the concourse at Grand Central Station for 6 days only in May this year to showcase their furniture and homewares. Story in Soho is an interesting experience, and we went there. It's a retail space that has the point of view of a magazine, changes like a gallery, and sells things like a store. Again, challenging that notion of what a store can be. And its entire story changes every 6 to 8 weeks. Those are some of the stories that they've focused on over the last 18 months. When I was there in January, the story was wellness. So you had, Smarty Pants vitamins and wellness drinks and yoga classes and all that sort of stuff. A store exterior can promise a great experience, like Paul Smith on Melrose Avenue in LA. I think that's just the best use of paint ever. A vending machine can be a great experience. This is a caviar vending machine in Westfield, Topanga in LA. And isn't that great? You've got the functionality of a vending machine with that luxury item inside, and it's just fun. Nike delivers some of the greatest customer experiences on the planet. In fact, I think Nike's probably even better than Apple. This is a Nike store in Shanghai. How's that for a mannequin display? A lot of interactivity in the store, both analog, and we can't forget that analog interactivity is kind of fun too, and digital as well. And this is the mall as an experience. This is Mall Sport in Santiago in Chile, which I visited in March this year. This is an entire mall of sports stores and activities. That's all they have. So they've got a go-kart track in the middle, they've got a climbing wall at the end. Yes, you can buy your football boots and you can visit a Nike store, and I think they have an interesting tolerance of occupational health and safety regulations in that store. They've also got a thing from the roof where you can do like this, you can hang from the roof and climb along the rafters, which is pretty interesting too. And besides the climbing wall, they also have a wave pool and a skate park too. So this is a fabulous place, and it absolutely pumps from Thursday to Sunday in Santiago and Chile. I think I've made this point a few times, and I think also some of the other speakers as well, is that the fundamentals of great customer experiences haven't changed in an awfully long time. So the study tour always visits markets like borough markets in London, which is traded on the same spot for over 1,000 years. And here you see great vendors attract and engage and sell to customers brilliantly. So I'll show you a couple of quick ones. I love that store on the left-hand side, the truffle store, Smell Me. I love on the right-hand side, that vendor offering samples, Try Me. I love all the different taste experiences, Taste Me, Taste Greedy Goat Ice Cream, Drunk Cheeses, whatever the hell drunk cheeses are, but I want to know. Camel burgers, maybe I don't want to know about camel burgers, but they're kind of interesting. Tell me a story. That's what great retail needs to do. And this, in one sign, tells the story of that store. Boat to borough, direct to the markets, dive not dredged, farm sustainably. So in summary, We are part of a changing retail brandscape. A retail brandscape that has been globalised, has been digitised and has been polarised beyond recognition. And things aren't going to slow down anytime soon. And I think that's fabulous. That's so exciting. We need to take cues from star retailers the world over and market retailers too. And we can win on a razor-sharp concept and customer value proposition, embracing a sense of connectedness globally, locally, digitally, physically, socially, emotionally, making things as convenient as we possibly can for our customers and taking steps out of the shopping and purchase process, retailing with a conscience that is going to hit Australia in a big way, and ultimately delivering an unsurpassed customer experience. And we need to constantly ask ourselves that one question: how can we encourage people to dream? Thank you.